Welcome to the Author Roundtable, where authors from all walks of life come together to discuss the trials, tribulations, and triumphs of publishing their books. I'm your host, Cory. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, and PodServe, just to name a few. This book is a collection of personal reflections that aims to help readers develop a deeper connection with the Lord. It's written by Jeff Collins, and it's titled Food for Thought. Jeff is right here with me now at the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable. Jeff, welcome. Great to be talking with you today.
Hey, the same here. Very glad to be here. Thanks.
Jeff, Food for Thought. What's this all about?
Well, I did a lot of reflection, a lot of prayer time with the Lord, and as I did this reflection, I felt like he kind of gets a bum rap. He kind of gets this cat after a mouse, want to hammer you. And as I spent more time with him, I realized nothing's further than the truth. He's absolutely your best friend. He's really obsessed with you and your happiness. And I shared these foods for thought to bring down that misnomenclature with the Lord, to let people know that he is not that and that he wants the absolute best for you. And I'm trying to break down those barriers with this book.
And what kinds of readers do you think would connect with this the most?
I've actually had some feedback from readers out there, and it goes over pretty much a wide spread, just people wanting to understand. One person said it's kind of like I took the Bible and didn't take anything away from it, but made it like a working man's guide, being able to use it in practice. And I really haven't found an audience that it didn't appeal to.
What does your writing background look like, Jeff? Do you have a lot of experience doing this kind of thing?
I absolutely don't. I started out putting these food for thoughts out on Facebook. I just wanted to share and put seeds of thought, food for thought into people's minds about breaking down these barriers. And I prayed on it, and I said, God, is this as far as you want it to go? And, we get messages in our thoughts, and the message I felt I received from him was, no, I want more. And so I decided to publish this book. Had no idea how it would go. His hands was definitely all over it. And how it all lined up was pretty miraculous, I think.
So once God gave you the go-ahead on this and you started working to get it published, was this a long journey for you overall from beginning to end, clear up through when it was out there?
Not super long. I was actually quite impressed how fast it went, the whole process of putting it in. So it's not necessarily how Jeff speaks, but how an author should speak. And the publisher did that as well. And then the proofreading and making sure everything lines up, the cover design and all this. But all in all, I want to say it took about 7 months, which I didn't think that was very, very long of a process.
Yeah, you worked with a great publisher, Covenant Books. So during that process, was there anything about it that you would say was particularly challenging for you?
No, Covenant is fantastic. Going through and reading through, and they would change some words here and there, and so yeah, there was a little bit of a challenge. Like, okay, I can kind of understand what you're saying, but they're there for you. If you have those questions, you can say, hey, this is what I'm trying to do, and they will say, okay, but it should read better this way. So they'll work with you hand in hand, which is fantastic.
Jeff, can you describe for me the moment whenever the book came in, you're holding Food for Thought for the very first time in your hands? What was that like?
Overwhelming. Honestly, it was a flood of emotions. I had some tears in my eyes. I feel like I'm doing the Lord's work. There was that. I'm now a published author. It was pretty overwhelming, pretty exciting. I ran to my wife and I go, it's here. It's actually in my hand. Yeah. And then, of course, all the family's like, I want one. And then friends are, I want one. And so I'm practicing my Jeff Collins signature. It was totally awesome feeling, though. It's just fantastic.
Well, there are a lot of great rewarding things about being published. Jeff, what would you say is the most rewarding aspect of it all for you?
Just hearing people reading the book and having them be moved by it. A friend of mine gave one to her husband. He was doing just flipping through the pages and stopped on a passage, and he started tearing up. And I said, was it good tears? She goes, oh, yeah, it was good tears. So to have someone to be moved by something that you wrote is just really amazing.
When you look down the road, do you see yourself writing and being published some more?
I have enough to do a food for thought, too, already. And I want to see how this goes. And I am pretty sure I will at least publish another food for thought. Those seem to be fairly easy to get out there after, just talking with God and writing down the conversation.
Well, I know this book is going to bless a lot of lives. Again, it's titled Food for Thought. It's written by Jeff Collins, published by Covenant Books. Head on over to places like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, and traditional brick-and-mortar stores. You'll be able to pick this up. It's been great to talk with you tonight, Jeff. Thanks again for coming on.
You as well. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
The book I'm looking at right now is a compelling and thought-provoking read that explores the true divine identity of Jesus Christ. It's written by Samuel Wilkins, and it's titled Jehovah's Plan. And we get to talk all about it right now. Samuel is right here with me. Samuel, welcome. It's great to be talking with you.
Hey, how you doing today?
Well, I'm doing really well, thank you. And I'm excited to find out about Jehovah's Plan, Samuel. Can you tell me all about it?
Yeah, it's a book that I witnessed on the street an awful lot, and I had a lot of questions come up, and the same questions kept coming up all the time, and people could not understand who Jesus really was. So this book tells them about Jesus and about his deity, and deity means that he is God. People will be able to read this book and understand more about Jesus and find that he is the one and true God. But, people would be able to identify better with Christ by understanding. This book pulls out the scriptures and gives them the verses to be able to understand where Peter, he walked with Jesus and talked with Jesus, and he gives the true identity who Jesus really was.
What sorts of readers do you think this would be best for? Do you have a specific audience in mind, or was it more general?
Well, it would be a general thing, but I reached out to a lot of different people that maybe the Jehovah's Witness and the Mormons, they don't really identify with Christ like they should. And this book will give them an insight of who Christ really is. And I've got Jehovah's Witness friends and stuff that they ask a lot of questions and everything. And this book would clearly help them to be able to understand who Jesus is and what he done for them at the cross.
Samuel, as far as your writing background goes, are you experienced in this kind of thing, or is this all kind of a new thing for you?
This is a new thing. I just got really concerned, for my friends, that didn't know the identity of who Christ was. And, the Holy Spirit prompted me to write this book. And it just kept coming to me and kept waking up. And this, the Holy Spirit really dealt with my heart to write this book because, everybody's got to know who Christ is and they've got to be able to identify with him. But this book would help them, give them a better, relationship with who Jesus really is.
So you write the book and then you go through the publishing process to get it out there. Altogether, Samuel, was this a long process for you?
It was. It took a little bit more time than I thought because I actually build houses for a living, and I wrote this book during a busy time. But now I got more time on my hands because the housing market slowed down. But it was a little bit of a process, and there's a few jump through.
Yeah, you worked with a good publisher, Covenant Books. Was there anything that was particularly challenging about that publishing process for you?
I mean, it went fairly smooth. It was my first time, and it being my first time, it's new to me. And I've got some more books I would like to write. And the next time I do it, I feel like I would be able to make it to be able to go through smoother on my side. Covenant Books done a great job working with me, and I enjoy working with them. But next time, I think I would have a better insight of, what to do and how, the process of it.
And then finally, it was that finished product. It came in. The first copy of Jehovah's Plan was in your hands, Samuel, for the first time. What was that moment like for you?
Well, it was exciting. It was really, really exciting to know that, the Holy Spirit prompted me to write this book. And now when I see the final version of it and everything, it really excited me because, just if one person can come to Christ because of this book, it's worth it all. I mean, there's millions of people that need to come to Christ, but if just even one person can get hold of this book and grasp the concept of it and get saved, it's worth every time and bit of effort, that I put into it.
Again, this book is titled Jehovah's Plan. It's written by Samuel Wilkins, published by Covenant Books, and available a lot of places like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, and traditional brick-and-mortar stores. Well, Samuel, thank you again for coming on the show. It's been great to talk with you tonight.
Okay, I appreciate the opportunity, and I think if you buy this book, I think you'll truly enjoy it.
Young readers and audiobook listeners are treated to a collection of charming stories designed to inspire and delight them. It's Betty Hendricks' new audiobook titled Florence and Friends and Their Fun Adventures. And Betty is right here with me now at the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable. We get to talk all about it. Betty, welcome to the show. It's nice to have you.
Thank you.
Betty, can you tell me all about Florence and Friends and Their Fun Adventures?
Well, I took a writing course back then around 1990, and I've always wanted to write children's stories. And so with the writing course, I wrote stories that I could relate to, like the two of them are related to a cow named Florence. And I used to wonder how come my dad didn't make the milk cow wear underwear. So in the story, this little girl, Misty, is me. And she tries to get Florence to do things that I thought my dad should have done with our milk cow. Then there's one about Slick learns the true meaning of Christmas. And it's to kind of teach kids that, Christmas isn't just about gifts. It's about thinking about other people. Because in the story, Slick takes off with a pie that a widow is making to raise money for an orphanage in the town. And then there's a couple that relate to McDonald's, and there's some lessons in that, like the one the grandpa taught the little boy, it doesn't matter who you are, what your skin color is, and that we need to think of each other in positive ways. And so that's where those came from.
So what gave you the idea to write this? Where'd you get that inspiration?
Well, the writing course, I took a children's writing course.
So what inspired you to get it published then after you'd written it?
I didn't get it published till last year. I didn't have the courage and the confidence to do it. And I finally said, I'm tired of not having confidence in myself. I'm going to do it.
So this is the first time you've been published then?
Yeah, this is the first time.
So once you decided to embark on that publishing process, was that a long one for you?
Not as long as it took me to get the courage to do it. No, I thought it went pretty good because Fulton Books was real good about working with me. And, if I had any questions or that they always were there to help. And I thought I would just be like writing the story. They would come up with illustrations and I would tell them if I liked it. But I had to come up with the illustrations where I wanted every character placed, what they looked like and that. And at first it seemed kind of scary, but then it actually became fun. I started looking at free clip art and thinking, well, I kind of would like to take a character like that and make it into, just thought about how I wanted the character to look. And in the two stories with Florence, she thinks she's a sophisticated cow. So I wanted to have her dressed in a gown on the front cover, and I decided to have her in a picture frame, and then the other main characters having them peek around the side of the picture frame so that they could all kind of be on the front cover, but you wouldn't have their whole bodies necessarily, but you could kind of tell what they would look like before you started reading the stories.
And of course, we're talking about the audiobook edition, so was that challenging to find just that right voice that you were looking for?
Yeah, there was a lot of they gave me a lot of choices. I listened to quite a few, and I ended up going with a guy that I thought he was real good. It was kind of interesting him doing talking like Florence, being a female, I thought he did a really good job.
When you look ahead, do you see yourself maybe writing some more, getting more published?
I would like to write more about a lot of the characters that are in the book already, yeah. I have some other ideas that I would like to do.
Well, this sounds like a book I think children and families are really going to be into. Again, this is titled Florence and Friends and Their Fun Adventures. This is written by Betty Hendricks and published by the Audiobook Network. Pick it up at places where you normally get your audiobooks, like Audible, iTunes, and Amazon. Well, it's been great to talk with you today, Betty. Thank you again for being on the show.
Thank you.
I'm chatting with author Cory Butler right now here at the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable, and he's written a charming tale designed to help young readers learn their alphabet and count to 10. The name of the book is Tonya ABC 123 Learning Program. Cory, welcome to the show. It's good to be talking with you today.
How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, Cory, and I can't wait to find out about Tonya ABC 123 Learning Program. Can you tell me all about it?
Yes, sir. The book, it's a child book where it teaches kids their ABCs and how to count to 10 and recognize zoo animals. So it's like basically like the old school style setup with the Titty Ruxpin, where you and your, like a parent will read or the school teacher would read and be like with the kids, like, can you say A? And then kids will say A, and then it'll be like, very good. You are so smart. Can you point to the alligator? And you point to the alligator on that page. It's like that through the whole entire book, where you just educating and learning the child as you go. And it's fun. It's fun for the family. It's fun for the school.
So how'd this come about, Cory? What gave you that inspiration or that motivation to write it?
What I think really inspired me the most to write this book, I had a friend that I knew way back in 5th grade. Her name was Tonya, so she inspired me to learn through my upbringing. I never really had this real desire to learn. I just come to class and just was there. But it was something about her motivation and her eager to help me and show me that I could learn just as well as all the other kids. So she was a big influence in my education growing up through life. And she stuck with me throughout my whole entire life in my mind, mental, from the 5th grade and to where I'm at now. So she was the big inspirer in me writing this book.
So is this the first time you've been published then, or do you have others before this?
Well, this is my first book that I have published, but I'm working on some more books in the future. I have a Christian book called The Testimony of a Sinner with Christian Publishing Company that still going through the process of being published.
Yeah, so you had your book ready to go and you started working with your publisher, Newman Springs. Cory, what would you say was the most challenging part about that publishing process for you?
The first part of being an author is like you don't think you have it in you to just succeed, or I guess it feels like you have those little fright moments where you're like, I can't do this, but then you have to just keep pushing yourself to actually do it. So once I got through that part and I started communicating with people from Newman Springs, it wasn't so hard as I thought it would be, because they gave us good help. They have a good support system there.
And something really important in a book like this is the illustrations. Cory, was that a smooth process to get those illustrations nailed down?
Yes, sir. Everything started to like smooth, balance itself out. Like I had the idea wrote in my head, the educational part of it. And once I got everything just on paper and turned it over to Newman Springs Publishing Company, it was just a great success and a great work experience. First time doing it, and they were, like I stated, they were been a big help to getting this book published.
I could only imagine what was going through your head then whenever it was finally real. You're holding the first copy of Tonya ABC 123 Learning Program. Cory, what was that moment like?
That was a very great experience, like a real moment where I felt like I really was really proud of myself to accomplish something from the life I came from, to be able to actually say I succeeded and publish a book. And it just made me feel really proud of myself being able to accomplish something in life.
Again, this book is Tonya ABC 123 Learning Program. It's written by Cory Butler, published by Newman Springs Publishing, and available at places like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, and traditional brick-and-mortar stores. Cory, thank you again for coming on the show. It's been great to talk with you.
Great talking to you too, sir.
Doug Draper's new book, The Witch and the Wolf, follows a defense attorney who must prove the innocence of his client, known as the Witch, in a murder trial. The author, Doug, is sitting right here with me now at the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable. We're going to talk all about the book. Doug, welcome. Good to be talking with you today.
Great. My pleasure. Thank you.
Doug, I'm interested in The Witch and the Wolf and finding out all about it. Can you tell me about it?
Yeah, well, the witch is a cranky hermit who lives on the Wolf River in southern Mississippi. And the story begins with four boys that are going to pull a prank on her because people like to pick on the witch. And so they decide to raid her cabin on the Wolf River. And they go there, and one of the boys ends up being attacked by an alligator. And then while they're trying to rescue him, there's another alligator that attacks another boy. One of the boys dies. The other one, the witch rescues. And then 20 years later, Tony, the boy she saves, has become a criminal defense attorney in New Orleans. And he returns back to his home in southern Mississippi to defend Clarissa against murder charges. She's been accused of killing a man who she found dead on the Wolf River. And so the story starts there with Tony teaming up with Harley, a local attorney, to have the charges dismissed against Clarissa, but it doesn't happen. She is retained in jail.
Wow, sounds really interesting, Doug. What kinds of readers do you think would be into this the most?
Well, I think anybody who likes a legal thriller or a murder mystery would find it interesting because, I just set up kind of the start of the book. And then what they go through is the two main characters, Tony and Harley, have to figure out a way to get Clarissa out of jail, and all the evidence is pointing at her. So there's a lot of mystery involved in, well, who really did kill this man? And so Tony and Harley work on that and try to solve the mystery and get their client out of jail. And they have a preliminary hearing, and she isn't released then. So then they put together a scheme to kind of pull the killer out of hiding because they have a hunch that they know who it could be. So they put together a way to bring that person out. And then the book takes off there and becomes a legal thriller where these two lawyers are battling out this person on the Wolf River who's a very dangerous man.
Wow, where'd the idea for this come from? How were you inspired to write this?
Well, it's interesting. My brother-in-law is a criminal defense attorney in New Orleans, one of the most prominent ones there. And he has a vacation property on the Wolf River. And my wife and I would go there to visit him. And one day, this attorney, his name is Joe Responti, and I are taking a canoe ride up the Wolf River. And I just looked around. I see not a lot of people around, so no eyewitnesses, no security lights, no security cameras or anything like that. And I just commented to Joe, I said, this would be the perfect place to commit a murder and get away with it. And as a defense attorney, he said, yes, it would. And I said, I should write a book about it. He said, well, if you do, I'll help you write it. So not only Joe helped me write it, but then his son, Michael Responti, who's also a criminal defense attorney, they helped me so I could make it really accurate and realistic about what lawyers would do in different situations. So it became kind of a fun family project. And Joe bought 50 copies of the book and is passing out to all his friends in New Orleans.
So what does your writing background look like, Doug? Do you have a lot of experience doing this kind of thing?
Well, this is my first fiction novel. I wrote another book a few years ago, which was kind of an autobiography about growing up in an abusive environment. But throughout my career, I've been a writer. I started out as a journalist, and then I worked in public affairs for the U.S. Air Force, and then for corporations around the United States. And one of the things I loved doing the most was a brand journalism job, where I write stories about people using a company's products and services and how the hero of the story is always the company. So it's like a lot of writing I've done, but I've always wanted to write a novel like this and I love murder mysteries. I'm a big John Grisham fan. So I wanted to do something like that, but I wanted to get it right. So that's where Joe and Michael helping me write the book was key to make sure it's really going to be a fun book to read, at the same time accurate.
Well, I think readers are really going to be into this book. Again, it's titled The Witch and the Wolf. It's written by Doug Draper, published by Newman Springs Publishing, and available a lot of places like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, or right down the street at your local bookshop. Thanks again, Doug, for stopping by the show, telling me all about The Witch and the Wolf. It's been real great to chat with you tonight.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your time.
I'm chatting with author Kate Massey right now here at the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable. We're talking about her new book, Purpose in the Pain. Kate, welcome. It's great to have you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me.
Purpose in the Pain. Kate, can you tell me what you've written about there?
So for me, I'm a trauma counselor, and I just wanted to have a book where people could see how, like, your faith can come in and work alongside your counseling. I know a lot of people have gone through pain, and in those pains, we can start to wonder where God is. And he's always there beside us. We just don't necessarily see it all the time. And I really just felt led that God wanted people to understand that even when you're going through those tough times, he's always right there. And it's all about us changing our perspective of what's going on in those times to help see where he is, but also to help us heal from those things. When we go through them, it's not just that you experience them in that moment, but a lot of times if you're not getting healing from them, they affect you throughout your life. And so how do you move forward, not only in your personal life, but also with God? What does that look like for you? How do you move past not understanding?
Kate, when you think about the readers that would be best for this book, who do you think that is?
I think everyone could benefit from it. As a trauma counselor, it is amazing to me how many times people will say something that had a great effect on them, and they don't really realize that that might necessarily be considered traumatic. And as you have those conversations with them, they start to see that. But I think a lot of times it's like, oh, well, I might have grown up in a house where, say, there was verbal abuse going on. Well, that is traumatic if it has greatly impacted your life. And a lot of times we don't see those things because we're so used to them. And I really just hope that anyone who has gone through anything will be able to read it, but also those people who just are interested in going deeper, learning coping skills, because we all have things in life that come up that are going to be painful. That's part of life.
So how did this all come about, Kate? What gave you that motivation, that inspiration to start writing it?
So I was actually in church, one of my church's services back in June of 2024, and our pastor was speaking on God-given dreams. And I had always wanted to write a book, and I had tried before, but it just never really worked out. And as the pastor was speaking, I heard God say, now's the time. And I said, okay, what do you want me to write about? And he just gave me the title, which is Purpose in the Pain. And then as I was sitting there in it, I felt like he was telling me that he wanted me to write about my personal traumas that I've been through and writing about it from a different perspective so that people can see a lot of it is your perspective. When you're going through those hard things, they can either control you because you're so overwhelmed by them, or you can learn from them in the moment. And sometimes it's hard for us to do that even years down the road.
What does your writing background look like, Kate? Is this all kind of a new thing for you?
It is 100% a new thing for me. I have actually written 2 other books since I finished the first one that I also felt led to write. But it was new for me. I've always enjoyed writing, and I've done it, for school and stuff like that. But this is the first time that I really went there, and it was, writing about something that is not just a hard topic to talk about in general, but especially the way that, the book is written, it's going into personal things. And I'm very good at being transparent, but before I wrote the book, it was very hard for me to be vulnerable because of the things I've gone through. And since writing, I can see how people who have come up to me and spoken to me about the book, that vulnerability allows them to be vulnerable with themselves.
Once you sat down and got started on this, was this a long journey for you overall, the writing and then the publishing and everything?
The publishing took longer than the writing. I wrote the book in 6 weeks. And it really just kind of flowed for me. I feel like it's, I've talked to other writers, and from what I understand, my experience was not like what they have experienced. I really felt this message is not just a message from me, like it is my story and everything, but I really feel like it was something that God placed on my heart. And he guided me in every step of the way. And I don't think it would have taken me that short had it not been for him.
I think so many readers are going to find this book very helpful. Again, it's titled Purpose in the Pain. It's written by Kate Massey, published by Covenant Books, and available pretty much everywhere, like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, and traditional brick-and-mortar stores. Well, Kate, thank you again for coming on the show. It's been really nice chatting with you tonight.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Collapse. That's the new book by Otto Roth, and it's a compelling novel that follows two scientists who must race against the clock to find a cure for an advanced pathogen. And we're going to be talking all about it. The author, Otto, is here with me. Otto, welcome to the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable. It's good to have you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Otto, can you tell me all about Collapse?
Well, Collapse is a book that talks about the end of civilization as we know it, due to, as you say, due to a pathogen, due to a, disease outbreak that, the whole world suffers through. More than that, it's about how this pathogen destroys human technology and civilization and how people have to learn to survive based on their instincts.
Otto, what kinds of readers do you think would be really into this?
I think people that like thrillers and enjoy, a seat of your pants kind of book, that's the kind of people that would like this a lot.
Otto, where did the idea, the inspiration for this come from?
Well, this book, I've always been interested in how human technology has advanced. And if you think about it, over the last 200 years or so, the amount of technological advancement in human civilization is just staggering. The thing is that advancement being so rapid leaves it vulnerable, in my view. It's too much, too fast, and too much can be lost, particularly if the knowledge is lost when people succumb to, a pathogen and you have enough people dying, then you lose the knowledge that kept these things running.
Otto, when it comes to writing and publishing and all that, is this a new thing for you, or are you experienced in it?
I'm reasonably new to writing novels. It's been over the last, I'd say, 8 years that I've started to do that. This is my second novel that's being published. I think, though, that always since my early 20s, I've had an interest in writing novels.
So from the time you sat down, started writing Collapse, clear up through the publishing process and everything, was this a long journey for you overall?
Oh, yeah. I would say for Collapse and for any book I've written so far, it's at least 2 hours from concept to, a paperback.
And you had your book ready. You started working with your publisher, Newman Springs. Otto, what would you say was the most challenging part about that publishing end of things for you?
Well, the most challenging part of making a book is organizing it ahead of time, actually. And the rest of it is really easier for me, where you actually start writing the story. It comes pretty easily.
I could only imagine what was going through your head whenever the first copy came in and it was finally real. You're holding Collapse in your hands for the first time, Otto. What was that like?
Oh, it was very, it was a happy moment. It really gave me a great deal of satisfaction to see it in print for the first time. It is very satisfying to see it in print. And since I designed the cover, it was really nice to see the cover come out so nice.
So you're published, your work is out there. What would you say is the most rewarding aspect of this all for you?
The most rewarding aspect is to give readers something of entertainment. I mean, it is good if your book teaches people something, but to me, the most important thing is that they're entertained. And so strive to make something that's exciting, interesting, and a page turner. But it's always good to teach people something. I've been a scientist my whole life, and so to teach people about the lab is very satisfying as well.
Well, so much of our listening audience right now, they're authors who are just starting out. Otto, do you have some advice that you could throw out there for them?
Yeah, I would say follow writing groups and to take writing classes like creative writing and such, because those things really do help a writer, especially when you're doing things that are, if you're writing 80,000 words, there's a lot to that. I mean, anyone can write 80,000 words, but if they need to come together and entertain people, that's a whole nother thing.
Well, this sounds like an exciting book. Again, it's titled Collapse. It's written by Otto Roth, and it's published by Newman Springs Publishing. Pick it up pretty much anywhere, places like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, and right down the street at your local bookshop. Well, thanks again, Otto, for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Oh, man, I appreciate you having me on, and thank you very much.
Get ready for a thrilling journey at sea with Fast Eddie Holland's new book, Alaska's Bering Sea Fisherman Stories. We're going to talk all about it. Eddie is right here with me now. Eddie, welcome to the show. Great to have you.
Thank you very much.
Eddie, can you tell me all about Alaska's Bering Sea Fisherman Stories? What are readers going to find here?
Well, I started out when I was 18 up the Inside Passage out of Seattle and up to Alaska, fished the Fairweather Range on the Pacific side of the ocean. And then after that, I went up to Naknek, Alaska, up to the Bering Sea. I started trolling the Fairweather Range north of Sitka when I was 18, and I was hooked ever since.
Eddie, what kinds of readers did you have in mind for it? Who do you think would be most into it?
Anybody that likes excitement, and I spent 40 years up there, and I crabbed, seined, trolled, gill-netted, long-lined, also 40 years in Bristol Bay. And then I have another book that will be eventually coming out, that's tug and barge, and I did about 300,000 miles on the Bering Sea and Pacific Ocean in my career.
So what inspired you to tell your stories, to write the book?
Well, everybody always told me to write a book, so I just had all the stories in my brain, and I just kind of whipped it out. I had to edit this book myself, which is really hard to do because I'm really not a writer or editor, but I just went with it, and everybody that's read it that fished with me up there loves it, and we're just going from there. Yeah, it's just basically, I've been a thrill seeker and a ski racer all my life, downhill snow ski racer, elite racer, and I just have had the thrill of excitement of crabbing in the Bering Sea and longline and halibut and black cod and, you know, going out on all kinds of different fishing trips, taking tuna boats to Hawaii and that kind of thing. So I've always been an adventurer.
What does your writing background look like, Eddie? Have you done much of this kind of thing before?
Not much at all, but, you know, I write poems and that kind of thing, and I've written 15 to 20 children's books, but they're not published yet. I just jotted them down in my computer. So I created a bunch of characters that way, but if I make some money with this book, then I want to start one of my children's books and do that, or write another Bering Sea book.
So once you sat down, you got started on Alaska's Bering Sea Fisherman Stories. Was this a long process overall for you, the writing and the publishing and everything?
Pretty much. I kept journals when I was on the ocean. But most of the stories, I could write 10 more books right now with my 40-year journey up there, the stories that are just in my head, right? Once you live life on the razor's edge between fear and excitement, the stories are embedded in your brain. You'll have them forever. That's where I got started. So all my buddies want to write a second book together, and they said, man, you should write a book. Now they're all reading my book, and they enjoy it.
So now that you're published, it's out there for the whole world. What would you say is the most rewarding aspect of it all for you?
Well, it hasn't sunk in yet that I'm an author, but I guess I am, and you know, that I'm going worldwide, and in the end of April, I'll see how many people bought my book. Maybe people bought my book in Saudi Arabia. Maybe people bought my book overseas. I'm not sure. But Amazon goes worldwide, and then all the Barnes & Nobles in America. I should have a pretty good turnout as to who bought my book, right? I sold one today at the Chamber of Commerce. So I got 5 more books in there. And then I've sold 60 personally, ordered them from Newman Springs. My books are $9 a piece that I have to pay, and then I sell them for $15.95. And if I sign a copy, they're $20.
Well, I think readers are going to love this. Again, it's titled Alaska's Bering Sea Fisherman Stories. It's written by Fast Eddie Holland, and it's published by Newman Springs Publishing. Pick it up at places like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, and traditional brick-and-mortar stores. Well, Eddie, it's been great to talk with you today. Thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you very much for letting me be on the show. I appreciate you guys.
The new book by Melanie Romero is titled Happy Independence Day, and it's all about a multicultural group of boys learning about Independence Day. And we get to talk all about it. Melanie is right here with me. Melanie, welcome to the show. It's nice to be talking with you tonight.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Melanie, can you tell me all about what readers are going to get into whenever they open up Happy Independence Day?
When you open up Happy Independence Day, what it does is it helps take the pressure off when the children are all in an uproar about the holiday and you have things to do. It really helps put things at ease because as far as the boys know, it looks like, everybody just wants us to get dressed. And they need to understand the best part about our country and what the holiday is all about and what we're sharing.
Would you say this is for younger readers?
This is a family book. Actually, it's for young readers, beginners. It's for the family, nighttime story. It's really good. I would say so.
So how did this all come about, Melanie? What gave you the inspiration or the motivation to get started on it?
Well, growing up in Los Angeles, and I moved here to Sacramento as an adolescent. Growing up, I had watching the boys play outside, and I was sitting back thinking, I need to share those experiences. And the best way to share it nowadays would be to share it with all of our cultures, for everybody. It would definitely be something for everyone to see and to share. And this way you can see where football brings us together.
What does your writing background look like, Melanie? Are you experienced in this kind of thing?
Believe it or not, no. I actually had to research that a little bit. And I take time to write short stories here and there. It's always been a hobby of mine. But I just thought that this was just something that I wanted to share it was a combination of modern age and my old child memories.
Was this a long journey for you overall, the writing and then the publishing and everything?
It was definitely a shocking experience. It was definitely new. It was nice to be able to really have the hands-on when it came to the artwork and actually making little designs as far as to let them know little previews, this is what I'm looking for. It was a good opportunity to get into my creativity, and to definitely get into some research when it comes to our cultures. So it was definitely a different experience. It was something new, and I enjoyed it. It was fun, and I'm looking forward to doing it again.
And you chose a great publisher, Newman Springs. So, Melanie, once you started working with them, what would you say was the most challenging part about that publishing end of things for you?
The most challenging was trying to get the story worded to where you would want to read it, That was the thing, getting the rhythm going and the wordplay. And Newman Springs, what they did is they helped me when it came to my approach. And that was something that was really wonderful, and they were there for me. So at any time, if I had any questions or any concerns, I could call them. They were right there with me. And I really appreciated that.
And there is nothing like seeing that finished product. So once the first copy of Happy Independence Day was in your hands, Melanie, what was that moment like for you?
It was a very emotional moment to actually see memory, to actually see your memories and creativity right in your hand. That was different. So at that moment, I was overfilled with joy, and it helped boost my little pride, and it just gave me so much enthusiasm to work on another project.
Well, it sounds like children and families are really going to love this book. Again, it's titled Happy Independence Day. It's written by Melanie Romero, published by Newman Springs Publishing, and available everywhere pretty much, like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, and traditional brick-and-mortar stores. Well, it's been great to talk with you tonight, Melanie. Thanks again so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
I'm having a conversation with author Alan Karam here at the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable. Alan, welcome to the show. It's great to have you today.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
You got a new book out, Alan. It's titled Footsteps of Courage. Can you tell me what you've written about there?
Yeah, so I've been working on this book for a few years, It focuses on my childhood and experiences growing up in Iraqi Kurdistan, a region affected by war, struggling with poverty and civil conflicts. I came into this world during the Iraq-Iran war, which lasted for 8 years. And what's fascinating is how my story feels so relevant today, particularly with what's happening in Iran today.
Alan, what kinds of readers do you think this would connect with the most?
The book is intended for readers looking for the narrative of hope, perseverance, and the strength of the human spirit in the face of extreme adversity.
So how did this all come about, Alan? What was your inspiration or your motivation to write it?
I've been dealing with childhood trauma, PTSD, and various mental health issues. As a result, some mental health professionals suggested that I write about my childhood memories. So over time, I've filled 6 notebooks, and I've decided to turn this material into a book to inspire others who are facing similar challenges.
And when it comes to writing and publishing and all of that, is this all a new thing for you, or do you have some experience in it?
I don't have any experience. It is all very new to me.
So being your first one, was this a long journey that you were on, the writing and the publishing and everything?
Absolutely. It took me approximately 8 months to get it published, and then converting to an ebook took a little longer, but overall the experience was pretty smooth because I worked with Newman Springs Publishing to get it published.
Yeah, they're a great publisher. So would you say there was anything particularly challenging about that publishing process?
I would say the most challenging part was the initial stages of the editing process, as I have my own work commitments. There were times that, when it took a few days to get back to them and then, vice versa. But otherwise, it was a smooth process.
And there's nothing like seeing that finished product. Once you were holding Footsteps of Courage in your hands for the first time, Alan, what was that moment like for you?
It was an amazing and meaningful accomplishment, kind of like holding a newborn. I tell that to everybody. But it really represents all the effort you put in, bringing feelings of pride, relief, and joy as those big ideas turn into something real that you can actually see and feel.
Yeah, like you said, a lot of time, a lot of work goes into this. So now that it's out there, what would you say is the most rewarding aspect of it all for you?
Just having it out there for me is an amazing feeling. The writing process has served a way for me to release a lot of emotions that I've been carrying for a long time. So I'm just grateful for just having it published.
When you look down the road, do you see yourself writing another one, publishing some more?
I'm going to be writing my second book, which shares the experiences of my later years. But for now, I'm just really concentrating on this book and some marketing stuff.
So when you're sitting down and writing, does it ever get challenging for you, like writer's block and things like that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Especially with my story as being in a memoir. Revisiting certain memories was truly challenging. So what I would do would take a break. At least for me, I would go fishing for a few hours or take a long drive on the lakes. After a day or so, I would return to where I had paused. That was a very effective method for me.
Are you the kind of writer who you maybe like to write a certain time of day, like maybe early morning or late night, or are you kind of writing as you felt that inspiration coming on?
I would write whenever that inspiration would come on. What I would do is I would go to the lake because I'm a big fisherman myself, and I would just sit by the water and then try to develop some ideas and then come home just that night and write whatever I can remember from that fishing trip.
Well, it sounds like this book is going to impact a lot of readers. Again, this is titled Footsteps of Courage. It's written by Alan Karam, published by Newman Springs Publishing, and available pretty much everywhere, like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, and traditional brick-and-mortar stores. Well, thank you again, Alan, for coming on the show. It's been really nice to talk with you.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
We hope you enjoyed this edition of the Author Roundtable, where authors from all walks of life come together to discuss the trials, tribulations, and triumphs of publishing their books. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, and PodServe, just to name a few.